I'll have some audio going on. Let me just make sure that the system audio is also present. All right, there we go. Okay, so hey, my name's Kai. I'm going to be hosting this webinar for you guys today on the CrazyTalk Animator pipeline. I'm going to be showing you how to take a character from the Photoshop pipeline using the Photoshop pipeline template, and we're going to bring it into CrazyTalk Animator and vice versa. We're going to take it from Animator into Photoshop and all sorts of stuff. So it looks like we have a fairly international crowd here today. So hello to everyone from wherever you guys are in the world. And yeah, okay, so hopefully all the audio is loud and clear now. Yeah, so a couple of things before we start this, before we start the official webinar here. We're going to be recording this webinar. We are recording it as we speak. I believe it's also being live cast on Facebook, so if you want to watch on Facebook, go ahead, all right? And we're also going to be sending out a survey for you guys at the end of this webinar, so if you have any questions or comments or feedback, feel free to fill out that survey for us. And as a nice little reward for filling out that survey, we'll give you a 10% discount at the content store. A little coupon we'll send off to you as well. Okay, and what else am I going to mention? Okay, yeah, also the Q&A session. We have a Q&A session at the end of this webinar, so if you have any questions, there's a Q&A panel in your Zoom panel. There's a Q&A section there. Make sure to put your questions in that Q&A section there, not in the chat window. I'm not going to be really answering messages from the chat window anymore because I'm kind of busy with the webinar stuff. And yeah, so Q&A at the end, the last 10 minutes, 15 minutes, we'll be answering the questions from that. Okay, and speaking of the content store, we also have a 90-day pass, as you can see here, 40% off for all new coming assets. This is if you purchase $199 plus in a single order, only in August, all right? So you can, I'm gonna put this link in the chat window for you guys, so you can take a look at it on your own time. All right, I'm gonna be putting a couple of links in the chat window there. Okay, so you can take a look at that on your own time. In addition, we just completed our Animation at Work contest, all right? Pretty cool contest that we had going on with a bunch of CrazyTalk Animator users. We had some really cool videos. I'd really recommend checking this out to get inspiration for your own CrazyTalk Animator projects. Some really good stuff. We basically have yearly contests for CrazyTalk Animator or iClone or what have you. So make sure you keep your eyes peeled on our website for any contests, because you can actually win some pretty good prizes. All right, you can click the prizes here. You can see $2 grand US is the top one, plus all of this cool software here, Vegas Pro and Digital Juice lifetime plan. All right, so a whole bunch of cool stuff that you can win. We gave out tons of money for this competition, so you're a little bit late now, but maybe next year rolls around, make sure you check it out. I'll put a link in the chat window for this as well. Where's my chat window? There we go. Whoops, wrong place. There we go. Okay, so those are two separate links from me in the chat window. And yeah, I just wanted to kind of introduce you guys to those things. Really recommend keeping your eyes on the website for any upcoming competitions or specials in the content store and whatnot. All right, cool. So I think that's about it for our brief introduction. Again, any questions, put it in the Q&A panel there, and we'll get to that at the end. Okay, so what we're talking about is we're talking about the PSD template, Photoshop template for CrazyTalk Animator G3 characters. And there's a little outline here. You probably have already seen this if you're aware of the webinar. So we're going to do a little demo here, character composition and design. I'm just going to basically break down the characters for you, deconstruct them. Perhaps we'll add some accessories if we have time at the end. I think we will. Character facial animation, customization and export in Photoshop. We can probably do that closer to the end as well. And character body animation. It's just basically using the pipeline, okay? So it's also very important to preface this. You need to have the pipeline version of CrazyTalk Animator 3 in order to complete this, to follow the procedure we're doing in this, we're following in this webinar. Okay, so again, the pipeline version of CrazyTalk Animator, you need this in order to import the PSD files, which we'll talk about in just a moment. Okay, I think that about covers it. So we'll close down the webinars panel there. Now, when you purchase CrazyTalk Animator Pipeline, it's going to come with a file that allows you to download the template. Okay. Now, where you find that is make sure you're logged into your Reallusion site. I'm going to show you where you can find this first. There's a few places you can find it. The main place is go up here to your account. Make sure you're logged in. Go over here to My Account. All right, and then go to Registration, and you should be able to find CrazyTalk Animator somewhere down here. Okay, pipeline version right here. This is mine. And under Details, you'll find, whoops, not this one. That's the wrong one. It's under Downloads. All right, so CrazyTalk Animator 3 pipeline download. Okay, and there's a bunch of different downloads here. You can see the downloads under bonus downloads. You'll want to find this one here, CrazyTalk Animator G3 PSD pipeline template sample project. This one right here, you want to download this. And for the white paper, there's also the white paper here as well, the G3 white paper. Excuse me, so you can download both of these here. For G2 characters, there's the flash template there as well, and a whole bunch of other stuff, all right, that you can download. So if you are missing anything, this is generally where you can find or you can download it, okay? Just so you're aware of that. The other place is the product page. So if we go to our, back to our Reallusion website, we can go up here to 2D and Media, CrazyTalk Animator, and Overview. There's PSD pipeline feature. All right, this is the main page, and you can select download free resources right here, okay? I believe if you don't currently have it purchased yet, the pipeline version, this is where you can download it, so download free resources. If you're a trial user or a pro user, I'm not sure. Pretty sure this is where you can download it all anyways. And finally, the third place is you can go to developer.reallusion.com. I'll put that in the chat window there as well. For those of you who are not familiar with that website, this is for developers who create their own characters and sell them in our marketplace. Good little side hustle. If any of you are interested, you can go to our marketplace, in case you're not aware of this. And under 2D content here, I'll put a link for the description, or I'll put a link for this in the chat window. Been doing too many YouTube videos. And you can see we have stuff from like Gary Pye, for example, and a bunch of other users on here. All right, so I'll put this on the chat window as well, so you can take a look at this link. I'm inundating you with links, so apologies for that if you're just trying to keep up with all the links here. Okay, so Marketplace, I kind of got distracted there. So Developer Center resources up here, you can go to CrazyTalk Animator, and then you'll find all the resources right here somewhere. They're on this page somewhere. Okay, down here, PSD file for the template. There you go. Okay, I think that about covers it. So that's all the places that you can download the template that I'm talking about, whether or not you have the pipeline version or not. But of course, if you want to follow the procedure, you need the pipeline version. Okay, so boom, let's close down Chrome here, and let's close down Skype as well. I'll probably just exit Skype in case somebody decides to interrupt my webinar there. Okay, so what we're going to do first is explain the templates. So when you download the template, you'll get a zip file like this. Okay, it'll be called CTA G3 Pipeline PSD Template Sample Project. It's a mouthful. All right, a big long name right there. And that I've already unzipped the folder right here. You can unzip it wherever you want. And this is what you'll have. You'll have this G3 folder right here. You won't have this PSD files. That's my private files right there. I'll show it to you a little bit later. But here you go. Okay, so we're going to have this stuff here. There's calibration motions under templates. You can see the different templates that we have here. I'm going to show you a very simple one first. So human front simple template. Okay, there you go. Let's just load that in Photoshop, and here we go. So this is the simplest template. All right. And you can see over here, I'm just going to kind of deconstruct this really quick for you here. This doesn't contain any facial features. Just take a look at the layers on the right here in Photoshop. So you'll have your bone labels right here. So the bone labels are basically the text here, like forearm, left arm, neck, right arm, left hand, the actual text, okay? So if I make that invisible, the bone labels, if I make that group invisible, there you go, it'll just remove all those. It doesn't really matter if you have that on or not. It's just for your reference. And so we can twirl that up. Next item of business is the RL bones. So the bone markers are these little doodads right here, the yellow, red, and multicolored ones, okay? Those are the bone markers. If we make those invisible, that's what you get right there. But when you're assembling your character, you're going to need to use these. You're going to need to change the position of these in your throughout the process, okay? So keep that in mind. We don't need them right now, so I can just make those invisible. And the last item of business here is the RL image group, okay? So under RL image, you'll have the images, the separate images for everything. This particular character, this particular template doesn't have anything in any of these folders here. It only has one thing in the hip, okay? So this basically the hip is just the entire image right here. If we make that invisible, there you go. Okay, so that's a very simple breakdown, a very high-level breakdown of what we're dealing with here. And what we're going to be doing essentially is replacing this. So I'm going to close down this one, and I'm going to show you a sample, a different one. So there's templates for the head here as well. The front full, side blah, 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 blah. Okay, so you can use that template here. Or there's also PSD image resources here. So under PSD image resources, you'll find this human folder. And this is the same thing basically, but just for the human, the elastic characters. So elastic folks, you may remember this guy. This guy looks familiar, I'm sure. The same guy as we have in our actor tab over here, a G3 actor, okay? So I'm just gonna show you how this guy's parts are deconstructed. So he doesn't have any face stuff. You can see the face sprites, okay? So he has all the face stuff in that folder right there. So it's a little bit more complex than the previous character I just showed you, or whatever it was, dummy. And you can see it has left hand, right hand here as well. Okay, so all this stuff and so on and so forth, okay? Stuff like his hip here. These folders should be a little bit different. There we go. It's kind of bothering me, the organization. Okay, so this elastic folks character, all it has is like, basically every item on a separate layer, okay? Right arm, hip, left foot. Let's zoom down so we can, or scroll down so we can see the left foot there. Left thigh. Okay, so all these are the essential building blocks of your G3 character, okay? And this one's just the background, so don't worry about that. And within the face folder, there's a whole bunch of other stuff, and we'll worry about that a little bit later. But that's how this character breaks down. And that's essentially what you want to do when you're creating your own custom character. You want to have all the different body sprites on different layers. And the face gets a bit more complicated. We'll talk about the face a little bit later on, but we're going to focus on the body stuff first. Okay, and so I'm going to just go ahead and close this guy down. We don't need him right now. And let's go and restore that same template there. And there's also sample projects you can take a look at as well. These are PSD Elastic Folks Front Full. This is just basically the same thing, except this one is what we want to get to at some point, okay? So we have the RL image folder, we have the RL talking head, and this is essentially the file that you want to copy for your end result with your character, okay? That's this one, this Elastic Folks Front Full, okay? Under Sample Projects, Human, and Elastic Folks Full Front and Side. Okay, so I'm just gonna go back to this folder here, and we're gonna just load up that basic template I showed you before, Front Template Full. Okay, so this is the same thing, basically, just no sprites yet. Okay, so we're gonna use this as our base. So this is the one we want to start with, Human Front Full Template.psd. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my I have a custom character prepared here, and our tutorial PSD file. So like I mentioned, you won't have any of these folders. These are all my personal folders here. So we're going to be bringing in this boy with 6 layers. Okay, I'm just going to bring that in. Oops, nope, we don't want to do that. Sorry, I need to load it in Photoshop. I'm so used to clicking and dragging things. Okay, let's make these 2 separate windows here. Okay, so this is what we got. So, and this is what we want to transfer all this stuff into on the left here. Okay, so this is the character I created. So there's a head, very simple, just head, thigh, left thigh, hip, okay, which is the torso, left arm, and right arm. So this is your very, very, very basic character, okay? And there's nothing to do with hands in this character. This is just a 6-layered character. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and bring this character, all these layers, into this template. Okay, so we're going to save different versions of this template on the left. So I'm going to go ahead and select this project over here. And what we want to do is essentially we want to place all these sprites in their respective layer under this RL image group. Okay. So again, we can disable the bone labels. We don't need any of that stuff. The head, we don't need to worry about that stuff. RL image is where it's all at. Okay, so even in RL head, that's where the head's going to be. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and start that. So let's go ahead and select this character. Let's shift and select all these different layers here, and we can click and drag them right over here. Okay. And that's going to place them all in this project. We can, put them in whatever layer we want. It doesn't really matter. But essentially what we want to do is, I'm just going to go ahead and, we don't need this anymore, so we can minimize it or get rid of it. So this is what we have, okay? Let's just make that a little smaller. And let's dock it again there. Okay, so we have obviously a character that's too big for his britches, or rather too big for our template image anyways. I can Control-T and press Control-T rather, in case you didn't catch that, which is our transform gizmo. And I can just hold Shift and click and drag from the corner here to make my character sprites a little bit smaller. Let's make it a bit more reasonable according to our template size. Okay, we're going to work with this. Okay, so we have all this stuff here. What we want to do is we want to place each one of these individual layers. Let's press Enter to complete that. We want to take each one of these individual layers and put it into their respective folder up here. So the head, as you can probably imagine, we need to drag that into the head folder. Okay, so then under head, there you go, we'll have the head sprite or the head image layer. Every image layer corresponds to a sprite in CrazyTalk Animator. Just keep that in mind. Okay, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. And so again, same thing, R thigh, which is right thigh, goes into the right thigh folder. L thigh goes into the left thigh folder. Where is it? There we go. The hip will go into the hip folder. So right now, as you recall, we already have this hip image right here. It's not very hip, in fact, so we can delete it. All right, and we can place our cool new hip, our hip into the hip folder. And then the left arm can go into the left arm, and right arm can go into the right arm. Now, ideally, obviously, you'd want hand sprites. We're not going to deal with hand sprites the first round. I'm just going to show you the very simple process here. And also, we definitely want stuff in the head there as well. Under talking head, we would have head images, and we can get into that in a moment. Okay, this is your basic character. I'm going to restore those bone labels. And what we need to do is we need to place these bone labels, these bones, markers rather, in the correct spot. So our character is a little bit different in scale and in proportions from the default character, from the default dummy character. So we need to make sure this is resolved. So I'm going to show you the process here. It's really simple. We'll go into the bone human here. Make sure you select all the layers. So in left arm, for example, bone human, left arm, we'll have all of these little sprite images right here. So I'm going to select left hand or left arm, which is this one right here. Okay, I'm going to press the V key, and that's going to bring up my transform, so I can move it around. And I'm going to place this basically at the rotator kind of, the rotation point of the shoulder and the torso, which is going to be right here. So if I select my my arm, for example, and I rotated it, we don't want it to rotate right here. Let's just Control Z that. Let's take this pivot point right here and place it right over here, okay, in Photoshop. This is what we want to, like, we can kind of preview it a little bit in Photoshop, and this is how our character's arm would be rotating, okay, just like that. And that's fine, okay, it's fine for me. Let's just maybe restore this back to the original. Where's our 0 degrees here? Okay, And so that's where you want to place the bone marker. This little Photoshop one doesn't really matter at all. You can place this wherever you want. It should be in the center normally. But you want to make sure that the left arm marker, this one, let's just enter that. This left arm little marker here is in the correct spot. All right, so I think we're okay. And left forearm needs to be at the kind of rotation point where your elbow would be. Okay, so generally right around here. The left hand marker needs to be at the wrist joint. Okay, and that's where the hand is going to rotate around. And the left hand nub needs to go at the very end, the very tip of the hand, so right there. And generally you want to try and keep a pretty straight line, just like this. Okay, so that's that. Let's do it a couple more times for the other markers here. I'm going to try and do it as quick as possible. I don't want to spend too much time on this boring stuff. Right forearm. So if I'm going too fast, apologies, but you can always kind of just review on the video a little bit later on. Let's just take this up. Make sure all the points are relatively in order. Gosh. There we go. Hand nub goes right there. Okay, now also important is the position of the head nub, head, and neck. Okay, let's do that next. So that would be under hip right here. There's the head nub. You need to place that right on the top of where his actual head would be. So if he has an afro, don't worry about the afro. Just worry about where you imagine the line of his head is ending. So right there, the head nub. All right, the actual head marker needs to be at the point where the neck would connect with the back of the character's head. So a little bit further up, the rotation point would probably be right here. And then the neck marker would be right about where the neck rotates with the torso. So, gosh, it keeps on doing this on me. There we go. Something like that. And yeah, yes, generally you would want to align these two. So if that pink line pops up, if you're using a later version of Photoshop, that pink guide will pop up and just place it right there. Good enough. Okay. The torso is going to be basically right where the belly button is. Okay, so his belly button's a little high here. So let's go ahead and take that torso down a little bit. There we go. And so basically where his belly button might be, I think about there. That's good. All right, and then the hip needs to go basically right in the middle. So imagine the hip is like a big oval, okay, like this. The hip is a big oval. You want to place that hip marker right in the middle of that oval, if I can click it properly. There we go. So about right here, okay, right in the middle of where, if you can see where my mouse is kind of moving around right now. Let's see if I can make use of this drawing tool in the there you go. That's the hip. Okay, so just imagine that little messy red line there. Hopefully y'all can see that is where the hip is supposed to be. Okay, it's imaginary hip, and that's the marker has to be right in the middle there. Okay, let's clear that for now. Okay, close that down. All right, and that's actually the first time I've used that feature live. Okay, anyways, let's go to the next part here, which is the legs here. So the thighs, do the left thigh first. We'll start with the left thigh point. So this needs to be a little bit further out. It needs to be at the rotation point of where the leg is. So imagine this leg is kind of the N shape. I'm going to take the image out just so you can see a little bit more. So left thigh. Let's take the image out. So you can see how the end there is kind of rounded. You want to put it right in the middle of that circle that would make up the end of the leg right there. Okay. So let's go ahead and do that. Scroll those up. Left thigh right there. Okay, so I think it's okay. Again, it may not be perfect, but I'm kind of on a time limit here. So, and we'll place the shank. The shank needs to go right where the knee would be. Okay, so right about here. And the foot. There's 2 foot items. Okay. So there's 2 foot, and that's because maybe you have characters like T-Rexes that have kind of 2 ankles, or birds, weird kind of birds with 2 ankles. So for main characters like this, you just want to put the foot 1 and foot 2 basically where the ankle is. Now, if you have a character by any chance that has 2 ankles, then the left foot needs to go a little bit higher, okay, than left foot 2. Left foot 2 will be the second ankle down. Okay, so just remember the top one always needs to be left foot. okay? But for now, we only have one ankle, so we're going to put them both in the same spot. All right, and then left toe needs to be in the position. Again, just imagine there's a little kind of oval at the very tip of the toe there. Put that right in the middle. Gosh, this thing is annoying. There we go. Okay, just like that, right about there. And then left toe nub, you can probably imagine where that needs to go. Right on the tip of the toe. Right on the tip of the toe, laddie. Right there. Okay, it can be a little bit off the mesh. It doesn't really matter. Okay, so just quickly do the same thing for the right thigh, and then we'll finally import this character. And I'll show you how to import it using the PSD template file procedure. Okay, so let's do the same thing really quick. I think left, right thigh, we can probably make that a little bit lower. Okay, right shank, zoop, doop. Generally, they're going to be like aligned with the items on the left and the right, or on the top and the side rather. Okay, there we go. And you can take both of these layers up at the same time on this one here. Okay, so just place that right about there. And right toe and right toe nub. Let's just move those up at the same time. You can shift select them and move them up at the same time. And I think that should be good right there. Maybe the right toe needs to be a little bit further over. Okay, good. So that's all you need to do. That's the basics, okay? Now this little marker here also needs to be placed at the very bottom of your character's feet. And I forget where this one is. Bone label. Oh gosh, it's been a while since I did this one. Because then when you bring your character in, it'll basically be placed at the exact point of where you import it. So, object pivot. Okay, so under bone, RL bone human, it's called object pivot. And you just need to move that so that it kind of is the very center of your character and somewhere like this. Okay, that's kind of important for your character's alignment. So let's press enter there. And let's just save this guy as a PSD file. Okay, so that's your basics. That's, without any other sprites like the hands and the face sprites. Let's go ahead and save this file, save as. I'm just going to save it to my desktop as a basic dude. Okay, and make sure it's a PSD, obviously. Okay, and then in Photoshop, or in CrazyTalk Animator here, rather, we're going to go ahead over here and create G3 free bone actor. All right, and once we do that, let's find the desktop folder here and select basic dude. And it should load up basic dude right here. And it should take us directly into composer mode as well. All right, which we are right now. Okay, cool. So now you can see our character with the bone structure in composer mode. I'm just going to move the zoom panel out here a little bit. You guys can't see that, but it's kind of in the way there. All right, and you can take your character, you can preview all the movement of the bones, so arm and everything like that. Here's your forearm. It'll move just like this. Now, again, we don't have any sprites for the hands or anything like that, but this is how everything's going to work. Okay, so again, if you go to your sprite editor, every sprite on your character, every layer in Photoshop corresponds to a sprite in CrazyTalk Animator. Okay, so there's the sprite makeup of our character. Cool. And if you want to edit the bones, you can use the bone editor over here. If you want to change the bone position, you can do that after you've imported it. Say, for example, you misplaced some of the bone markers, like maybe this one, for example, seems to be a little bit lower than the one on the right. So you can go to the bone editor and just move this one down a little bit, like that. Okay, and that's basically the same as moving those markers in Photoshop to different areas on your character's body. Okay, and we'll just go ahead and work with that. You can add bones and all sorts of other stuff as well. But that's our basic character. So we can just go ahead and go into stage mode and test out the animation. So there we go. He's a front-facing character. We can use something like the, I need to move this out of the way again, the content manager animation. Let's go to perform G3 and have a front-facing motion here, like this female cry, for example, or ew. Let's try this one.
Ew!
Okay, so that's a really simple animation. Let's try the cry one. All right, so there's your character fully animated. Now the only thing that needs to be done is, of course, changing the hand sprites and changing the facial sprites. And I'll show you how to do that really quickly, so we'll get a new version here. I'm not going to go through the whole process again, obviously, because hopefully you get the procedure that I'm going through here. But the hands and the facial features can be a little bit more challenging. Okay, so what I'm going to show you here is I'm going to actually load up a different project. And this one is called PSD Actor 4. This is one that's pretty much done. Okay, so again, this one has the hand sprites. So the difference with this one is PSD, the RL image, you can see under our hand, we have all these hand sprites. Okay, so we have relaxed. This is the right hand. Okay, let's focus on the right hand here. Okay, so if we take the relaxed out, we can show on the victory hand. And this is basically where you just put all the hand sprites, okay? Should be able to see them. There's three, he has 3 hands, oh my gosh. All right, we'll just leave the relaxed one on there. That's the only difference with this character. And it also doesn't have any facial sprites. So RL talking head is the one you want to go into. And just like you replaced all those images in the RL image folder, okay, so for hand and arm and all that stuff, we just did that. Now you need to replace all the images for the face, okay? So we're only going to deal with the mouth in this one, okay? So I'm going to show the mouth, okay? So there's normal, there's nothing in them right now because our character doesn't have any facial sprites. He's the creepy looking guy with only, let's just make the head bone labels invisible there. So he has no face, okay? And we need to put all those images into the head image folder, subfolder mouth, okay? So I do believe I have those prepared here somewhere. Facial and hand. Is it in this one? Yeah, okay, so there's all the hand sprites, right, or the facial sprites down here, okay? So generally, you know, the way I suggest organizing your facial and your facial and hand sprites would be in like just a single document like this, and put them all in separate layers, obviously. Okay, so here's all our mouth stuff. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to take all these mouth sprites, again, just shift select. Let's just bring it over here, bring this dude over here, and basic dude, we can kind of close him down. Basic dude has been replaced by PSD Actor 4. Okay, so you know, when you're organizing all your character sprites and everything like that, you should have a document kind of like this one. And just click and drag all of those images onto your template folder, or into your template project rather, and it'll look like this. Okay, and just press enter. Okay, let's just close this one down, or minimize it rather. Okay, so then I just kind of place them at the very top. I can click and drag them and you know, place them in a different location. Let's just place them right here for now. I need to make sure that, oops, let's just Control Z that. I'm going to minimize everything, so I'm placing them at the bottom here. Okay, so I'm going to place all these mouth sprites at the very bottom. Okay, so then what I can do here is, you know, what I like to do is kind of just align them, basically. You can create them separately, but now you can align them, so you can just go ahead and do something like align top edges, and then align left edges right here. And then all your facial sprites will generally be in the, you know, similar area. And then you can do something like a line in the middle horizontally, and then a line in the middle vertically, and they should be good to go. So you can take them all and place them where you think your character's sprite should be. Let's take them actually to this level right here. I can drag them so then we can actually see them. And again, if you think they're too small or too large, you can group transform them, Control T, and you can hold Shift and make them all larger or all smaller, and position them where you think they all should be. Okay, I think we're good right there. Press Enter. Okay, now what you want to do is you want to take each one of these individual layers, images rather, and you want to place them into the respective folders under RL Talking Head. Okay, this is the same process for the hand. okay, just make sure that you put them in the correct folder. So the normal one right here, this is our normal sprite, okay? I'm just moving it so you can see that's the normal looking mouth there. Or no, sorry, this is the CD SKZ vising shape. I'm gonna just control do that. Let's take the normal one and bring it over here. Okay, anyways, we'll take the normal one and drag it into the normal folder first. Let's put them into separate folders first. Okay, under there, smile open. Click and drag it to smile open. Pucker lip, pucker lip. We can take a look at them all separately in just a moment. And put them all into the separate folders. Show teeth, mouth open. This is the normal one for the visine shapes, okay? It's basically just the same as the other normal one. So the visine shapes, by the way, are the mouth shapes that are used for lip syncing on your character. Okay, and I'll show you that in a moment here. Let's get through this a little bit faster. All right, this is kind of the monotonous part where you have to click and drag all the layers into their respective folders. Zoop. All right, all prepared, all good to go. Okay, so then if you want to, make any of these invisible, you can see they're all in their respective folders. Now we can see the normal mouth, which is this one right here, okay? He has a resting frown, I guess. Okay, so we'll just control do that and undo it. All right, so again, essentially the same thing goes for like the left brow and the right brow. You only need one eyebrow. Okay, so there's only one folder for normal because CrazyTalk Animator will morph and warp that brow to make different expressions. You need one for the character's front hair. Okay, if there's any hair in front of the face that you want to be in front of the eyes, you need to put that in the front hair folder. The face one here, there's head and face. Okay, just the face is just the background basically. Okay. There you go. This is just the face right there. And there we go. And the nose and the eyes. So the eyes is a few. There's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different eye sprites, and so on and so forth. But we're just going to go ahead and import them without the eyes for now. So let's go ahead and save as, and let's save back to our desktop. We'll call it creepy no eyes dude. Okay, and we'll load that into Photoshop or into CrazyTalk Animator now. So let's just delete the elastic guy here. So this character doesn't have any facial animation, okay? So he doesn't have any facial sprites. We can't really do any facial animation with him. But if we create another G3 character, creepy no eyes dude, he's gonna have some, at least the mouth that we can do some lip syncing with. So you can see he doesn't have any eyes or anything like that, but just the mouth. So we'll just take him right directly into stage mode here. And we'll take a look at what we can do. So you can see if we use facial puppet, for example, we can move him around, okay, and the mouth will morph just like this, okay, like that. And if we use like smiley, we can have him smile like that. But again, he just doesn't have any eyes, okay? So that's the issue there. So what you want to do is you want to obviously do the same thing with the eyes and the nose, everything like that. It takes about five more minutes, and then you're done. And luckily, I have that character already prepared. So let's delete these two characters. And let's bring in, let's close everything down. We don't need any of these anymore. There's another project called PSD Actor 6. This is the last step. Okay, so this guy has all of the layers. All right, let's just dock him up here. All right, so he has under talking head, for example, he has the image, and you can see all the eyes all set in there, and so on and so forth. Now, there's something wrong with this character, and I'll show you a little bit later what that is. But first, let's just go ahead and save him as complete dude. Complete dude. There we go. Okay. And go to create G3 character again in Photoshop. Complete dude. There he is. All right. And once he's loaded up, he'll load into Composer again here. Now, in Composer, let's take a look at Complete Dude because he has eye sprites and everything. So if we go into the sprite editor, you'll see we have the eye. If we click on the eye, there's the closed, eye squint, iris change, all that stuff. Okay, so he has all the eye sprites. The nose, just a single sprite. The mouth, you can see all the mouth sprites we kind of showed earlier. Let's make the bones invisible here so we can actually see them. Okay, so the teeth and all the different facial sprites. Basically, each layer corresponds to each sprite in the sprite editor. Okay, and the eyes, just like this. Now, one problem we might see, we come across here is the eyes closed. There's this kind of like really weird red background, and I kind of did that on purpose because I want to show you how you can update it in Photoshop. So, say for example, you take your character in to CrazyTalk Animator, and you're like, "Oh crap! I kind of missed this big red spot for some reason." So what you can do is you can take your character and go ahead and launch it into the PSD editor. It seems like there's a lot of stuff going in the chat window. All right, sorry. It seemed like there's like a lot of chat messages, so I just kind of got distracted there. All right, so we're going to launch this into Photoshop, okay, right here, using this launch to PSD, launch to external PSD editor, okay? And in this case, it's going to ask you if you want to do the head and body in one file or in separate files. If generally you just want to do the head and body in a single file, unless you want to do all kinds of crazy manipulations. I tend to keep the resolution around the 2K mark, which is 2.5 in this case. You can take it up to 4K if you want, but 2.5 is generally enough for me. You just want the PSD resolution to be around 2,000 pixels, okay? At least 2048 pixels, all right? I'd recommend that. Okay, so then I can launch it into Photoshop. Okay, so Complete Dude, you can see Complete Dude is now loaded up. So let's just close the previous two down. Okay, we don't need those. This is the one that we launched from Photoshop. And if we zoom in really quick, actually what we should have done here is taken that back to normal first. The eye needs to go back to normal. So let's go to the sprite editor, restore the normal eye there, and then we'll launch it, okay? And I don't think it matters, but I just want to follow the correct procedure there. All right, so to launch this guy in Photoshop, all right? And let's just zoom in a little bit on the face here. RL bones, I'm going to just make all the bones invisible. We don't need to worry about the bones right now. Under RL talking head, let's make the head bones invisible. So we need to find, I think it was the right eye, his right eye, that was having the problem there. So under right eye, you'll see there's a number of different eye subsprites. Okay, so smile closed. Was it the smile closed one? I don't believe so. Maybe the eye closed. No. Let me just make sure here. Let's go back to, which one was it? Eye close on the character's right eye. Okay, so in Photoshop, eye close, this one. Okay, so the iris seems to be fine. The eye white is the problem right here. You can see the eye white. If we make it visible, for some reason, if you kind of made an accident and you put some red marker into the eye white little area there, then yeah, you want to get rid of that. Okay. So the eye white section, what we're going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and use my brush tool, and I'm going to hold the Alt key and click on the character's skin, and we're just going to brush over that. Okay. Just like this. You can be as messy as you want since it's on a separate layer. All right, and then we'll go ahead and make that invisible once again, and file and save. So what's happening is actually this file is saving, and it's going to automatically update in CrazyTalk Animator. You can see right now it's currently updating, and if we go to select our character's right eye and go into the sprite editor, there you go. Eye closed is now correct. So we don't have that weird eye issue anymore with the big red marker thing there. Okay, so there you go. All the eye sprites have been finally fixed. And if we want, we could do something like give him a sports logo or some kind of design on his shirt as well. Let's do, for example, let's launch it one more time. Or we don't need to launch it again. We already have it launched here. Okay, so let's go and it's really easy to maybe take the torso here, character's hip, and let's maybe open a different image here. Let's see if I can find one. I'm just kind of doing this spontaneously here just to show you how easy it is. Let's see if I can find a good image. Oh boy, I have too many images. Let's go to tattoos. We'll give him like a Hello Kitty logo on his shirt. Okay, or maybe a Blue Jays logo would be a little bit more. Not Hello Kitty. No, Blue Jays. Okay, so let's Control A, Control C to select all this. Make sure it's a transparent PNG, and we'll take it Control V, and we'll paste it in the hip layer. Okay, and then Control T to transform. Hold the Shift key, click and drag from the edge, and we'll place the Blue Jays logo, right on his shirt, somewhere like this. Okay, and there you go. Right, if you want, you can adjust the layer. What you want to do definitely here is you want to merge these layers. So Shift select and right click and merge layers. Okay, you need to have one layer and it needs to be called hip. Okay, so the naming conventions are very important here. I should mention that. So make sure that's one layer, single layer, and it's called hip. Okay, and then we'll just file and save. And that should update in CrazyTalk Animator momentarily. There you go. All right. He's a big Blue Jays fan, even though the jersey is all the wrong colors. Okay, so again, this character, you can see here in Composer mode, we have the layers. If we go to the Layer Manager here, you can adjust the level of the layers. So say, for example, your hand, for some reason you wanted your right hand to be below your right forearm, you can just click and drag it like this. And you can see what will happen right there is that the right hand will go below the forearm layer, but generally that's not what you want. So you just click and drag it. If I can select it there you go. Click and drag it above the arm layer. Above the arm layer, there we go. And restore the layer order to the correct level there. Okay, let's do a little bit about facial animation. We did some body customization. We did some updating of the facial features. Now we can get into facial and body animation, I think. And of course, if you have any questions, any other questions, put those in the Q&A section, and I'll get to those later on. So let's go back to stage mode and just take a look at the various ways to animate the character's face. So what you can do if you want to load, create an animation for your character's face, just go up here, make sure your character is selected, create a script. You can use your own voice, record your voice, use text-to-speech, WAV file, or a CrazyTalk script. I'm sure a lot of you are probably familiar with this. Let's just record our voice and say something. I don't know what to say. Let's say, okay, and you can just go ahead and record whenever you're ready. Hey everybody, my name is Basic Dude. Welcome to our CrazyTalk webinar. Okay, and let's close that down. Oops, what did I do? What did I do? I think I accidentally clicked something. There we go. Okay, it's creating the script. Let's hope it's creating the script anyways. So if you, I'm just going to take you through the process of some quick facial animation. Okay, let's not use voice recorder. It seems to be bugging out on me here. Not sure what happened. Seems to be like there's 35 seconds of recording for some reason. All right, let's close her down. Oh, fantastic. Okay, well, luckily we can fix this easily by relaunching our CrazyTalk. Apologies if my background gives you vertigo there, a little bit upside down. And we can just simply create another character. That's the advantage of having this those PSD files. Easy to create, and complete, dude. There we go. And let's use text-to-speech instead. All right, so character created. I'll take him back into stage mode. We don't need to worry about all that other stuff. Select the character, create a script. Let's use text-to-speech. Hey everyone, my name is Complete Guy, and I feel really complete. Okay, and press OK.
Hey everyone, my name is Complete Guy and I feel really complete.
Sounds so serious, Complete Guy. All right, so if we go back to frame 1.
Hey everyone, my name is Complete Guy and I feel really complete.
Okay, it just looks like he doesn't have enough emotion, so we can add some emotion into him. One way to easily do that is using the facial puppet tool and using any one of these profiles. If you want to know more about the facial puppet tool, feel free to ask me, but it's pretty straightforward. Just select the profile, press space to preview. Okay. Generally, what I do when I have a character doing lip sync, I try to take off of these the mouth, okay, and the sides there as well, because you don't want to morph the mouth too much. It doesn't really matter a whole lot, but you definitely can notice it in the end. Let's kind of leave that on, I guess. Let's just do a regular template. We need the happy one. This one, smiley. Okay, that doesn't look too smiley. Anyways, we'll go ahead and record it.
Hey everyone, my name is Complete Guy and I feel really complete.
Okay, so some very simple head movement, and the advantage of the facial puppet tool is it can create some natural head tilting to make your character seem more like he's nodding and paying attention to you. Just play back.
Hey everyone, my name is Complete Guy and I feel really complete.
Okay, so it looks all right, What you can do to layer on top of that, add different layers, is we can press F3 and go into the timeline and open up the face track here, and you'll see that we have the facial. This is our puppet clip that we created under facial clip. We created this using the facial puppet tool, okay? And it creates all those other keyframes down there under head, face, and eyes. Let's see if we can move this up a little bit. Okay, the voice clip is where the visine shapes are. So if you, for example, if you want to change any of these visine shapes for the mouth, let's zoom in a little bit closer. This one here is like a woo, okay? So that facial shape is a woo. You can double click on the keyframe itself and it'll bring this up. Now, for the 2D characters, it doesn't really matter the expressiveness. If you're doing a sprite-based facial switching, which we are in this case, that's not morph-based. You can just change it to whatever you want, though. You can change it to different sprites, okay? The expressiveness doesn't matter in this case. So we'll keep that. And of course, you can double click anywhere and add new, visine shapes into your character. So I'm just going to go ahead and delete that none one, right? And I'm not going to go into too much detail here, but any other questions, more details on it, you can just ask me in the Q&A section. One thing that you may want to do that I find useful is you may want to tweak the facial puppet expressions. Say, for example, right here, for some reason at this point I wanted to have my character's eyebrows raised, or a different expression totally, completely. What I can do is go to the facial key editor right here, face key editor. You can also use the Control-K hotkey, excuse me, and you can use a template to change your character's expression. Now, keep in mind that these face keys, this face track right here, corresponds to the face key editor, the keyframes in this track. So if I take a bunch of these and delete them,
Complete Guy and I
right here, we can throw in like maybe this angry expression like that, okay? Then from here to here, he's going to blank to an angry and back to a normal one, okay? Just like this. So that's an expression. If you want, you can go further. You can add, transform, maybe take his eyebrow a little bit higher, like that, okay? And what we need to do is go down here under facial motion. You'll see face transform. Okay, so there's the transform. Right here, we probably just click that and press reset sprite or reset all. Okay, that'll add another transform keyframe there. So before you make any transform movements, you want to generally reset all to create a keyframe there, and then his eyebrow will go up. This eyebrow, we can take it even further. We can take it further. Like that, and there you go. And then if we want, we can restore it, or we can right-click here, copy, and paste a little bit further down, right-click, paste, and then over here, we can reset all, and it'll reset back to the original data from the facial clip. Okay, so then we have this eyebrow raise for a few frames, and then it goes back down to the original.
Complete guy, and I feel really complete.
Okay, so that's just a really quick and simple whirlwind tour of the facial key editor. There's also the deform as well. We won't get into too much detail. This is where you can change the shape of your facial feature. So if I wanted to deform my eyebrow, for example, I can do that. Or I should be able to anyways, but I can select it. Not letting me select it. There we go. I can deform it, and that'll show up in the face deform track. All right. So here you probably want to just reset all, and from here to here, inexplicably his eyebrow is going to just stretch out like that. All right. So little subtle facial cue there. All right. Anyways, enough nonsense. Let's get to the Q&A session here, guys. I think that's all I wanted to cover. Body animation is fairly simple. If you want to know more about body animation, I can show you here. But again, let's see what you guys want to hear. Let's go to the Q&A section right now. So any questions or whatever, make sure that you throw it into the Q&A window there. All right. All right. Cool. Okay, Q&A. Here we go. Okay, Linda asked a question a long time ago. Why is Basic Dude's left toe nub gray? Oh, I think I accidentally closed that project down. It doesn't really matter what color the toe nub is. It doesn't really matter what color any of those nubs are. If you really want to, you can change the color, I think. I've never encountered anyone who wanted to change the color, but the bone markers, it doesn't really matter what color they are. It just matters where they are when you import it into CrazyTalk Animator. Okay, make sure you guys put your questions in the Q&A section, not in the chat window there. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Good. Alrighty. So, question from Kimber. Said, I'm interested in props, like a character holding a microphone or catching a flying object. This is a pretty good question that I get asked quite often. So there is a tutorial that I created that talks about throwing a ball or catching. Actually, this is a webinar that we did a little while ago. This is part of our webinar series. Let me just show you guys here. Webinar. It's part of the webinar series, CrazyTalk Animator. It is one of these ones. I think it is the product commercial here. Let me see. It is one of these webinars. So you can watch them all free of charge on the website here. But it is definitely one of these. Where our character picks up a Starbucks cup and throws it away afterwards. And the way that you do that is you need to have a hand sprite that basically has the same prop in it. Let's see if I have this saved somewhere. Let's see if I have a custom character saved here. Oh man, let's see. I don't believe I do, but basically what you want to do is you want to have a custom, like your hand sprite on your character. So say, for example, you go into the right hand and you have the relaxed sprite right here. What you want to do is you want to create another sprite that has an object in it. Okay, so let's quickly do it. I'm just going to quickly show an example because this is actually kind of important, and I get asked this all the time. Call this like maybe soda can cartoon style. Okay, so let's go to more our tools. They always change this stuff on you. Settings, advanced search. There we go. It needs to be a PNG file. So transparent. Okay. There you go. So let's go ahead and take this can of soda. Soda can. And let's save this to our desktop and then bring it into Photoshop. So I'm just going to click and drag this into our project here, into the relaxed layer. Okay, so it's into the relaxed layer. We're going to merge them a little bit later on here. So I'm just going to shift, rotate it a little bit. Okay, we'll place it like that. If we want to place it behind our character's hand, then we go ahead and like this and place it like that. Another thing we can do is we can, let's go ahead and see which one is reach here. Yeah, reach looks like more like he's grabbing the actual soda can. So let's put it behind reach, for example, and see what it looks like. Okay, so something like that I think would be okay. Okay, don't worry about the rasterizing stuff. So say that looks like he's holding a can of soda. If you were picky, you'd probably like, remove his thumb. So we can just, take these two and, need to copy this first. So copy layers, what am I doing here? Let's just Control C and maybe Control V. Oh, no. Oh, this one is locked, that's why. Okay. So we can duplicate these layers. It doesn't really matter. Here's the copies, and we'll just merge these two. Okay, so right click and merge layers. And we'll have this as a sprite. We'll call it holding can. Okay, so it doesn't really matter where you put this. We can just delete our original can layer now. And we can just put the holding can wherever we want. Make sure it doesn't really matter if the layer is locked or not. We can put it anywhere we want in the list. And let's go ahead and load this guy in to Photoshop. So let's go ahead and save him first. So File, Save As. Oh, we actually have him. Can we just save this? No, we don't have him in Composer mode anymore. Okay, so I took him out of Composer mode, so we have to save us as a separate complete dude with soda. Okay, and then in CrazyTalk Animator, we'll have two brothers, one with a can of soda and one without. And so the only difference here is one character is going to have a can of soda in his hand. Okay, sorry if it's taking a little bit longer, but I just wanted to show you how important it is. So if we select his right hand there, we go to sprites, there should be a sprite with a can of soda. Oh, there's one with a boxing glove here. All right, so there's another one that I did earlier. Holding the can of soda right there. You can see so that the character is holding a can of soda. So let's go ahead and go back into stage mode here. And you should, is that him? Okay, it might just be updating the same character. Let's see if the sprite contains, hand sprite contains the one we're looking for. I don't see the soda one here. This different character. He's alone. Okay, this is, oh, there's two on the same layer, or right behind each other. Okay, apologies for that. This guy should have the hand holding the soda. There you go, holding can. All right, so he's at a Blue Jays game, enjoying a nice, cool can of, we'll call it soda. And 2D motion key editor. There you go. He's like just taking a sip of his soda. That's good. Of course, you need to modify the layers here as you move along, but there you go. And that's the character holding a can of soda. So that's generally what you would do if you, I believe the original question was, let me just open up, a character holding objects. You need to just replace, just add on, you can add on as many hand sprites as you want with a character holding the object. I kind of just showed the whole process there. It takes a couple minutes, but in the end, you have a character holding different objects. Pretty cool stuff. All right, hopefully that answered your question there, Kimber. Next one is from Dale, saying, in the middle of the lip sync, can you make the character laugh? There is no visine for laughing, and I can't figure it out. Okay, well let's give this a shot. Let's go ahead and actually let's just take our character to that position. Yoop. And we'll start the project from there. So if I had my character saying something like, you know, I'm normally a very serious dude.
I'm normally a very serious dude.
And then, or you know what? Let's just do the whole thing. Let's just remove the animation. Right-click, remove animation. I'll show you how to actually split the clip. I'm normally a very serious dude, but sometimes I have a good chuckle. Okay.
I'm normally a very serious dude, but sometimes I have a good chuckle.
Okay, so if you wanted to kind of put a laugh in between those two lines, you can press F3 and go into your timeline to the face track right here. Under voice clip, you will find the clip that we recorded right here. Oops. Right here. It's this clip right here.
I'm normally a very serious dude.
Okay, you can see he says, I'm normally a very serious dude. It ends here. What you can do is you can right-click on the clip and you can break it into two parts. You can click and drag the second part of the clip later on like this, okay?
A very serious dude. But sometimes I have...
Okay, so right in between here is where you want him to be laughing. So, you know, there's various ways to do that. I'll show you a way that we haven't talked about yet using the spray editor. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and use... I'm actually going to use the facial puppet tool first, but I'm not going to use any expression. So I'm just going to clear this out, clear selection, and I'm only going to use head movement. I like to do this sometimes. So what's going to happen is we can have our character like, ha, 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 like that, okay? So I'm just going to go ahead and record and, ha, 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 ha.
But sometimes...
Okay, and that just created a little puppet clip there on the bottom there under the facial clip track. And what I want to do here is, during this little section here, I want to use the sprite editor. Okay, so the sprite editor is right here. And let's just change the mouth to mouth open, smile open. And we'll change the eyes to like smile closed, like this. Okay.
But sometimes...
Okay, so then you're like, ha, 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 ha. And then here we'd just restore the sprites to normal. Okay, so just take the mouth back to normal and the eyes to normal. Yeah.
But sometimes...
Oh.
But sometimes...
And then at this point here, with the sprites, because the sprite editor is actually the highest level editor. So when you change the sprites, it's going to just basically overlap any of the visine that you did before. So what we want to do here is, where is it? I haven't done this in so long. Facial clip, right eye sprite. So the sprites are right here, left eye, right eye, and mouth. Okay, what we can just do is delete those. And I think we just need to go back to default. Sprite editor. Mouth. This one here. Release.
But sometimes...
Okay, yeah, so release is the one you need to use. Okay, so there's release right here. That's kind of like the reset back to default. Okay, so right here, change the eyes, release, eyes, release. Okay, and that'll be the sprite changes right here. Oh, that seems we actually accidentally. Let's go to here, very beginning, and release everything. All right, so.
I'm normally a very serious dude, but sometimes I have a good chuckle.
All right. So obviously, you know, if you had a voice, you can throw that voice in there.
But sometimes I have a
And let's say, let's zoom in really quickly here. So right here, I would want to throw in some ha ha ha. I'll throw in some roboticized ha ha ha. So I'm just going to use the text to speech here and just go ha 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 ha.
ha 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 ha. But sometimes
Okay.
ha 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 ha.
All right. There you go.
Ha 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 ha. But sometimes I have a good.
All right. That's how you can do what you were asking, I believe. So hopefully that answers your question there, Dale. Margaret's up next. The scene I want to create is too long for one file, so I need to take a copy of how the first file ends and use this to start the next file. Okay, Margaret, what you can do is you can actually just increase the size of your project. You can go to File and, Edit, Project Settings. You can basically increase the size of your project to like an infinite number of frames. You can put like 10,000 frames. So what I did here, I'm not sure if you noticed, right here, I dragged this little red slider here from the very beginning to about right here. So this project, say for example, is only going to go from here to here.
Normally a very serious dude, ha 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 ha. But sometimes I have a good chuckle.
Okay, so say that's my project, and I want just to save that. So what I'll do is I'll click and drag these two red sliders here to that project length, and then I'll save this as like, you know, project one. I'll go save as, and desktop, maybe like project one, okay? And then what I'll do is I will take the first slider and move it all the way to the very end, and this one all the way to the very end. And then I can just save this as project 2, and all the data that's from the end of project 1 will now be saved at the beginning of project 2. And I can extend the project length as much as I want. Okay. Hopefully that answers that question for you there, Margaret. Okay, so Don asks to create a character of me from a photo. Would I need to take a picture of me in a T-pose? Multiple photos for hands and mouth. You don't need a T-pose. I don't think. Well, I mean, if you want to copy and you know, the actual images of your body, you can do that. But the only important thing is that they're in separate layers, and obviously that they're straight. So your arms need to be straight. One sprite for your arm. I mean, if you take a picture of yourself, yeah, you'd probably want to be in like a pose, which is kind of like a T pose. And you'd want to have your hands kind of facing outwards. Your palms would be facing back, basically. But yeah, that's basically the same process with the cartoon characters as well. And yeah, you definitely want to have multiple mouths and hands. Okay, so if you know, that might be kind of an interesting project to take on. But generally, when people do the actual real life type of characters, they just use morph-based characters as opposed to sprite-based characters. So morph-based characters, they don't have like facial sprites. They just have one facial image, one image for the head, and it morphs it to smile and everything like that. All right. So Jan Torre asks how to change hand movements during the recording. Okay, so if I wanted to change the hand movements, let's make his beer can magically disappear. Or you know what, let's take his beer can and have him throw it away. I'm gonna just, okay.
I'm normally a very serious dude.
And as he's laughing, we'll have him throw his beer can away. Motion key editor. Let's just do a quick keyframe right here, and maybe a few frames later, we'll just. Okay, so he'll just be. Drag that a little bit further. And then copy, and sorry if I'm not explaining things too well, guys. I'm just kind of trying to show you how quickly I can do this. But basically, I'm just creating keyframes for the body movement. It's not really important to the end process here. But I'm just copying and pasting the keyframes here in our transform track for the right forearm here. Let me just paste it over here. Okay, so maybe right here, he throws it away. So what I'd want to do is I'd want to have the sprite for my right hand change into something in the sprite editor, change into something just like normal. And then so we'd have this. And then of course you'd want to bring the sprite, the actual sprite in. So I would do something like this frame. I would take that sprite image that I saved at the very beginning here, click and drag that into CrazyTalk Animator. I'll just save it as a prop and resize it. Okay, let's just remove the animation there. This frame, we want to kind of make sure it's in the same position relatively as the other image right here. Just resize it a little bit. And at the end of every movement, just right-click and remove object animation. So we can make it, at this point, we can make it invisible. So let's just click up here, invisible. And then right here, we'll make it visible. Okay, so it'll be like this. Oh, crap. We have to make it invisible from frame 1. So, zoop, all right.
Normally a serious dude.
Okay, so then here, it's visible. So what happened there is the sprite, the hand sprite, actually switched, and we made the soda can visible suddenly. Okay, so we can take it right there. Just make the transform position. Just move it a little bit to make a transform keyframe. Okay, so transform for our soda can there, and then over here we can just throw it over here somewhere. Okay. So what happened is we basically we switched the sprite for the hand back to the relaxed hand. Okay. And at this point, we're making the prop, which is this soda can over here, making this prop visible. So it just goes like.
But sometimes I have a good chuckle.
This is the goofiest project ever. All right. So there you go. Hopefully that answers that question for you there, Jan Torre. Marang asks, can you add TTS for the Khmer language after next update of CrazyTalk Animator 3? Thank you. Okay, I think that's a good note. So if you are speaking Khmer language, then we may have that. Unfortunately, with TTS, I just realized this. With TTS, it's actually not our proprietary stuff. We're actually done through a third-party service. So whatever they offer us, that's what we have to take. And I don't think they have the Khmer language or accent or anything like that as of yet. It's a different service. I don't, off the top of my head, I don't know the service that we use. But perhaps you can find the original service. Gosh. Just Google everything. I'm not even sure if it's on here. Yeah, we just outsourced it from somebody, some other group, I think. I forget who it was. Gosh, could be somewhere on here. I don't know. But unfortunately, I don't really have the answer for that at this point. But it's the feedback would have to go through a different company. But I can record it and send it off to whoever takes care of our development right now. Okay. All right. So Sean asks, are there any back recordings? Yeah, Sean, so basically I'll show you our Learning Center. If you want to get to the Learning Center from our main page, the Relusion page, this is a very important page for everyone, I think. Go up here to your products, to 2D animation media, to the main CrazyTalk Animator product page, and then under Learn, you got the Learning Center right here. All right, so the Learning Center has all the tutorials. Okay, they're all organized nice and neat right here. And I'll throw that in the chat window there as well. There we go. All right, so that's where you can get started. There's some getting started stuff in there. There's also learn fundamentals training videos as well, and all sorts of fun stuff. Right, so there's some learning courses here, and I think these ones, yeah, they're courses here. So, all right, yeah. So this whole training package is available for purchase, I believe, but I think most of these are actually on the YouTube channel as well. So, if you want it all in a nice complete package, this is the training package that we offer as well. I think it's like $20 or something like that. All right. Okay, so Jan Tori, hopefully you got a little answered your next question about the character moving the hands during the recording. So Bafim asks, can the character be in side view? So this is a restriction with CrazyTalk Animator or G3 characters. They only have the two profiles, the front facing and the side facing. So unfortunately with the side view, they don't have that for G3 characters yet. This is going to be a possibility in the future. I don't want to say too much about it right now. But yeah, G2 characters have the multiple angles if you're interested. I'm sure some of you may not be aware that G2 characters actually have multiple angles here. So if I bring in a G2 characters, like Emma, for example, if you use your bracket keys on your keyboard, you can rotate them 90 degrees, 180 degrees, 270, 295, no, 3, whatever it is, 0 degrees or 360. This is 45 degrees anyways. I forget all the numbers. Okay, so that's how you can rotate your G2 characters. But unfortunately, G3 characters aren't able to do that yet. Don asks, for animations with many characters, would it be easier to render them separately, composite them in a video editor? Don, that really depends. It's really arbitrary. If you find that your system is lagging when you're creating your animations, then yes, you'd probably want to composite them onto different layers and put them together in video editing software. But I've never really encountered that much lag. I've had like 10 characters on the screen at once. I haven't really had any lag for my system, and I don't even have a good computer. I have like a 970M NVIDIA GTX card. So generally, for 6 characters, like you mentioned, you shouldn't have any problem with that. All right. I think that's all of our questions as far as I can tell here. Yeah, cool. All right. A little bit over time. Sorry for that, guys. But hopefully you got all your questions answered. And again, we're going to be sending you off a recording of this as well as a survey. Make sure you fill out the survey and get the 10% discount in the content store, as well as check out our animation contest, Animation at Work winners, and the content store promo as well that I mentioned at the beginning of this webinar. Okay, cool. So I think we're going to end it off there, guys. So thanks so much for attending this webinar. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Thanks for getting up early, those of you who are in Australia and New Zealand. And yeah, we'll see you in the next webinar. There's also another webinar for Cloud Animator end of this month. I think it's August 22nd. That's in American time anyways. So make sure you check that out. All right, guys. So thanks again, and I'll see you in the next webinar.